Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at 5 starts now.
We began with the city of Highland Park telling Governor Whitmer it cannot pay the $24 million water bill the city owes, and now the city wants to file for bankruptcy. It tops our news today on Local 4 News at 5. I'm Devin Skillion.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Karen Drew in for Kimberly Gill. That $19 million bill has some residents really worried the water to the city could get shut off.
Others say bankruptcy is just another way for the city, though, to avoid paying what it owes. Business Editor Rod Maloney live in Highland Park tonight with an issue that is finally really coming to a head, Rod.
Well, Devin, you know, the city government here has decided they're just going to throw up their hands and say, hey, look, give us the expedited bankruptcy. They feel like they've been fighting this thing for a decade to no end solution, so they put it at the governor's lap. And so tonight it leaves a couple of questions. One, can they even get that bankruptcy? And two, what's to happen with the water itself? Whether life's most essential element will continue flowing here is where the battle lines are drawn. Highland Park Mayor Glenda McDonald said last night,
GLEWA is asking to be able to turn off the water, this is in the case, turn off the water, and put a levy on our properties.
And we put it to Highland Park residents today. Are you concerned that they might shut the water off?
Yes, I would hope not, but I don't, I pay my bill on time.
I am, I just don't know when they're going to do it.
For all the worry, though, the governor's office this afternoon made it clear to Local 4 the water will not get turned off here. That doesn't solve the larger issue of getting a massive multi-million-dollar back water bill paid. In fact, the Great Lakes Water Authority and Highland Park are going to be in court Thursday battling these issues. This afternoon, GLEWA will put out this statement, quote, the Great Lakes Water Authority's motion, scheduled for a hearing this Thursday, seeks to reinstate the $19 million plus interest judgment as directed by the Michigan Court of Appeals. It does not include any proposal to shut off water service to the city of Highland Park, end quote. Though the city has asked the governor for an expedited Chapter 9 filing to end this once and for all, the governor's office says we are months away from even knowing whether they have the choice of a Chapter 9. The prospect of a long summer has lifelong resident David Jones saying,
I'm praying for Highland Park, I guess.
Now, Macomb County's Public Works Director, Candace Miller, said this afternoon that she wasn't surprised that they went for the bankruptcy request. And I'm going to quote her here. She said, so that they don't have to pay their debt, which is the wrong approach and not an act of good faith. Instead, she believes they should drop all of the litigation. And I want to be clear about one thing. Again, the state of Michigan has said, the governor's office said, they will not be turning off the water here in Highland Park as a result of any of this litigation. Back to you.
But this all very much centers now on Lansing, Rod. What do we expect to happen at the Capitol?
Well, the governor's office is saying, look, the city has gotten a little ahead of its skis here because it has to have a state Treasury Department exam to go through and look at this, and that can take anywhere up to 6 months. And so what they're saying is that they've got to go and do the, check out the financials here to see if, in fact, that gets done. And in the meantime, the governor's office would like to see them, City of Highland Park and GLEWA, actually negotiate a settlement in this. And somewhere in all of this, Devin, is $25 million tucked into the 2023 budget to see if they can get this thing paid off. So there's a lot more work to do, and it may not be as dire as the residents here in the city believe.
But we'll recall from the Detroit bankruptcy, eligibility is a big part of moving forward here. Exactly right. All right, Rod. Now, we're following breaking news on the historic settlement reached between Fox News and Dominion voting systems, and it was just as opening arguments were set to begin in the defamation trial.
Dominion Voting Systems says it settled with Fox News for $787 million. The voting machine company sued Fox for more than $1 billion, saying Fox damaged its reputation by repeating the false claim that Dominion voting machines rigged the 2020 election. This is what the company's CEO said just a short time ago in front of the Delaware courthouse.
Fox has admitted to telling lies about Dominion that caused enormous damage to my company, our employees, and the customers that we serve. Nothing can ever make up for that. Throughout this process, we have sought accountability and believe the evidence brought to light through this case underscores the consequences of spreading lies.
The Fox Corporation has issued a statement acknowledging the court found certain claims about Dominion to be false. The company says it hopes the settlement allows the country to move forward.
Michigan Supreme Court Justice Richard Bernstein says he is seeking mental health treatment. Bernstein says he's going to be taking part in treatment out of state. He will be working remotely. He will not be joining the rest of the court to hear arguments next week. Bernstein has not said the type of treatment he is seeking, but is encouraging everyone who is struggling to get the help they need. All right, now to a major shakeup in the Bloomfield Hills School District in the wake of that controversial high school assembly.
The district superintendent, Patrick Watson, says he is going to retire later this summer. Mara McDonald live at Bloomfield Hills High School for us tonight. Mara, that school's principal is already on leave.
That's right, Karen. And this retirement, as well as the principal being on leave, comes as scores of parents have gone to the school board asking that one or both of these men be fired. It was billed as a Diversity Day forum, which featured a prominent activist who was anti-Israel. Her repeated comments through multiple assemblies set off a firestorm of controversy and upset throughout the Bloomfield Hills community.
Nothing upsets a mother more than when her children are hurt, put in unfair and unsafe situations, and when those wrongdoings are not corrected by a proper apology.
The content of the speech is only part of the issue here. The reaction afterwards by the administration, which many parents felt was neither appropriate nor contrite, dialed up the furor.
They didn't mention anything about Jews being hurt. They didn't mention anything about Israel being delegitimized.
You have three issues at play here. Parents angry that no supervision or vetting was done prior to the assembly. The assembly itself, which was repeated throughout the day with anti-Israel rhetoric, which was viewed by many as anti-Semitic, and then perceived failure from the administration afterwards. Already, the principal of Bloomfield Hills High School announced he was taking a leave of absence for unspecified reasons. And now, the superintendent, who has been on the job for 3.5 years, is announcing his retirement. This email went out to parents today informing them that with mixed emotions, Superintendent Pat Watson will be retiring effective July 31st in order to spend more time with his family. Back here live, the school board has repeatedly told parents that it has an ongoing investigation into everything that happened here that day. We're live in Bloomfield Township tonight. I'm Mara McDonald, Local 4.
All right, what a shakeup. Thank you, Mara.
The toxic soil from that massive chemical spill and fire, East Palestine, Ohio, set off the whole debate. Why is toxic waste being trucked from across the country to these special facilities here in Wayne County? Well, today, members of the Wayne County Commission tackled that very issue. Jacqueline Francis live with more on this. It is a pretty complicated matter, Jacqueline.
Devin, it is a complicated issue, but the bottom line is these sites in Wayne County are properly licensed to handle these types of hazardous materials. So now Wayne County leaders are trying to focus on what we can learn from this whole ordeal. Back in February, hazardous waste made its way from East Palestine, Ohio to Wayne County. The solid waste was dumped here at a disposal company in Belleville, and contaminated wastewater was delivered to a deep well liquid injection site in Romulus. Both sites are owned by Republic Services. The state confirming today both facilities are licensed to accept this waste, and no heads up was needed.
I know there's been a lot of concern about why no one was notified about the Ohio waste shipments. There are no requirements at the state or federal level for advance notification for waste shipments.
Wayne County leaders didn't like being blindsided and hope to get the courtesy of a heads up in the future. According to the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy, the hazardous waste sites require regular testing. And yes, the sites have a history of violations.
There was no release of any material associated with the violations. They were more administrative violations.
Other experts at the hearing explained how low-income populations or people of color are more likely to live next to a hazardous waste site in Michigan. And once a facility is licensed, it's hard to walk it back.
So you really need a lot of voices raising up and saying we don't want this type of facility here, because once they're permitted, it is very difficult to shut them down, until they've reached their capacity or filled up with waste. And so that could be decades.
County commissioners are hoping to create a special group or committee to continue tackling these issues. Reporting live in Detroit, Jacqueline Francis, Local 4.
Jacqueline, we know a lot of residents want to be heard on this. How can they express their concerns?
There is an ongoing public comment period, but that's really just for technical comments. So right now, your best bet to have your voice heard is to contact your elected officials.
All right, Jacqueline.
Well, hundreds of Southwest flights are delayed throughout the day after the airline stopped departures for about 20 minutes this morning. The FAA issued a ground stop just after 10:30 because Southwest says it was having technical problems. The airline says a vendor-supplied firewall went down and connection to some information was unexpectedly lost. More than 1,500 flights were delayed. We did check in at Metro Airport and things were running smoothly.
All right, to the weather now. Take a live look outside from our Southfield sky cam. It has been a chilly one today. In fact, still a few snow flurries around earlier today, but there is some good news on the horizon. We got warmer weather on the way.
Yes, we do. Let's get to our first check of the forewarned forecast with Kim Adams. Hey, Kim.
Hey, well, let's start with tonight because I know a lot of sports have started. Little League, soccer, all those outdoor events. And if your kids go to one of these and they're outside, it is going to be cold tonight. Even though temperatures right now are in the mid to upper 40s, even 50 in Ann Arbor, we have some winds that's a little bit breezy. Winds coming out of the west, anywhere between 25 up to 30 mile per hour gusts. And so that's definitely putting a chill in the air. So it feels like it's only 34 in Pontiac, feels like it's 37 in Mount Clemens, and 43 at Metro. So bundle the kids up if you can because it is going to be a cold night on those fields and the parents as well. Sunshine for us tomorrow warms us up to a high of 57. And look at this. By Thursday, we are in the upper 70s, but we fall back down again to the upper 40s. A little unsettled for the weekend. We'll talk about that coming up.
All right. Thanks, Kim.